The Woods Recruiting Intensive Training Program. Welcome to it. Prospecting and lead generation is a critical component to being a scout at Woods Recruiting. You want to create a large database of leads. It's very, very important. We have a system, Athlete Lead Tracker is a Google document where you can keep track of your leads and meetings. It's also a great way for me to be in contact with you. You and I both will have access to Athlete Lead Tracker. This will help me to know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. You'll get access to Athlete Lead Tracking after your first training session. Now, you'll need a Google document account. It's basically a spreadsheet where you can put all your leads, all the information on student athletes, first and last names, phone numbers, email addresses, parents' information. So it's all about getting leads. This is what it's all about. Lead generation strategies. Now you want to be seen at high school sporting events. You want to be seen at club events and tournaments, network connections with high school and club coaches. Those things are important. Back in the day for me, I used to attend 2 high school football games on a Friday night. Now, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and so a lot of the high schools were pretty close together. So I could go see one game, leave at halftime, and get to the second game by the start of the third quarter. So it gave the illusion that I was everywhere. So I actually could see 4 teams play. My goal was to work the crowd, talk to parents, and talk to student athletes after the game. Now, approaching student athletes is simple, is easy. Compliment them on their game. Hey, you played a great game. Who's recruiting you? I'm a scout. Things like that to get the conversation going. Then you want to be careful of your business cards. At some point, you're going to be ordering business cards through Vista Print. So start off with a couple of 100 cards. What you want to do, a lot of scouts make the mistake of giving out their business cards as though they were giving out Halloween candy. You don't want to make that mistake. You want to get something in return for your business cards. A lot of scouts who are new in this business start handing out business cards to everyone, every parent, every student athlete they meet, believing that the student athlete or the parent will somehow call you because they're holding your card. It's not going to happen, and it doesn't work that way. You want to get their contact information first. You want to get as much information as possible first on that student athlete. Write it down on a notepad, piece of paper. Now, at that point, give them your card, and then let them check you out. Exposure is critical for a scout. We're going to eventually try and get exposure for the student athletes we work with, but you also want exposure for yourself. You want to be seen everywhere. Why not host a seminar? Seminars are great because you can bring in as many student athletes and their parents and just talk recruiting. But have some kind of sign-up sheet or registration form that they've got to fill out. Now you've got leads. Because in this business, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, it's all about, do they know you, like you, and trust you? It's critical. Lead generation goals. Now, it's highly probable, in my opinion, to require 30 to 31 leads a month. It's 1 lead per day. Now, for some of you old school scouts, there was a song way back in the day, 1 is the loneliest number in the universe. So we're talking about 1. We're talking about 1. Set a goal of trying to get 1 lead per day. 1 lead per day. And I think it's important to be able to try to speak with 1 family per day to set up a face-to-face meeting. Don't just settle for 5 to 10 leads per month. It's not enough. And here's the reason why. You need about 100 minimum, because 1/3 of the people you talk to are not going to need Woods recruiting. They're not going to need recruiting help because they're either being heavily recruited or they're not going to college to play sports. So those are out. The second third are going to be knuckleheads. They're going to be straight up knuckleheads. The parents, the student athletes, they're going to drain your time, drain your energy. They're going to just jerk you around. And so they're out. The bottom third are going to be student athletes and parents who are very interested in what you have to say. They may be ready to sign up as soon as you sit down and get comfortable in their house. But the problem is, you've got to talk to all 100 people to determine which group, which third is interested in you. So I think it's highly probable to generate 365 leads a year. And that's really the ballpark you want to be in. You want those numbers. Because if you've got those numbers, you're going to have a lot of success. You're going to close a pretty consistent number of student athletes. Your first 100 days, your first 100 days as a college scout is critical. You want to generate leads. You want to be everywhere. You want to do all the things that's necessary to get off to a good start as a scout. Now think about this. When they elect the new president, they always talk about the first 100 days of their administration, who they're going to appoint on their cabinet, all these different things they're going to do in their first 100 days as a president. So your first 100 days as a Woods recruiting scout, what are you going to do? What are you going to try to accomplish? Once you've completed this training, now the clock is ticking. You have 100 days to get it going. So it's critical to get off to a good start in your first 100 days as a scout. So for example, A, how many high school games and events will you attend? B, how many face-to-face meetings will you schedule per week? C, how many leads will you generate? D, how many high school coaches will you network with? E, what is the number of tournaments you will attend? F, how many hours per day, per week are you willing to invest? G, how many sales do you want to close per month? H, what are your financial goals? So this is an example of some of the things you could do in your first 100 days as a Woods recruiting scout. I don't want you to complete training and then go on vacation, complete training and fall asleep, complete training and then take significant days off. Your first 100 days can set the tone for the next 12 months as a scout. This is kind of like your blueprint to getting it done as a scout. Your first 100 days as a Woods recruiting scout definitely will set the tone. It's critical for all new scouts to hit the ground running. You don't want to fall asleep after training or take days off. A lot of scouts struggle early on because they don't have a plan or a strategy when they begin their career as a scout. Now you have a blueprint for your first 100 days of what you're going to do. If you want to be successful, you'll come up with this plan and you'll hit the ground running, because that's what it's all about, being successful. Be careful of the money question. What that is, let's say you're at a game, a tournament, and you're talking to parents and everything is going great. So they can try to sidestep the face-to-face meeting or anything else. They may just ask you, hey man, how much is this going to cost me? I mean, they're just going to come straight out with it. So never tell them how much it costs to sign up with Woods Recruiting. The reason is you're at the game and you did not have an opportunity to deliver a sales presentation. So what you want to do in that situation is tell the parent, hey, Mr. Jones, what I'd like to do is tell you about how much it costs and how it all works. How about if I come out to your house Tuesday at 7:30 and I can tell you how everything works then? So what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position to pin the parent down on a face-to-face commitment. Because if they hear how much it costs without hearing how it works, then the only thing they will have ever heard is the price, and then they're not interested in hearing anything else. So be careful of the money question. Be careful of the money question. Sometimes parents of student athletes can be a little slick. Sales presentation to parents. So this is very important. You have to have a strategy, and I believe there are certain things and specific things that needs to be said to parents. A lot of scouts make the mistake of talking too much. I made that mistake back in the day. I thought I could go in there to a parent and impress them with the fact that I played college basketball, that I played ball overseas in Argentina, and can impress them with the number of student athletes I helped get into college. They really didn't care about any of that. They didn't care about how tall I was. They didn't care that I played college ball. The thing that they were interested in is what you can do for my son, what you can do for my daughter. That's the bottom line. A lot of scouts try to jam information down the parent's throat by talking and talking and talking. So think about this. Get this picture in your mind, that when you, the scout, is talking, the spotlight, imagine the spotlight shining really bright light that is shining on you. So the spotlight is shining on you and it's highlighting you. As soon as the parents start to talk, the spotlight shifts towards the parents and student athletes. We want the spotlight on the parents and student athlete. We want them to dominate the conversation. We want them doing the majority of the talking. We want the spotlight on them. As soon as you start to talk, the spotlight shifts towards you. Sales presentation. Your sales presentation is directed towards the parents of high school student athletes. Your role as a Woods Recruiting, your role as a scout for Woods Recruiting is to thoroughly explain how Woods Recruiting works in small, bite-sized chunks of information. So you don't want to give them all of this information, because what will happen is a parent will tune you out because you're talking too much or you're saying things that they don't understand. Now, get this in your head as well. High school coaches and parents have had this love-hate relationship for a very, very long time. They don't get along. So then a lot of parents decided to do their own recruiting, and they try to contact college coaches. Well, the college coaches don't like the parents either. So now the parents of student athletes are stuck in the middle of this process with no one to talk to. No one wants to talk to the parents. Now the scout, you, the Woods Recruiting scout, is there with them, and you're giving those parents an incredible opportunity to talk, to share their information, to tell you what's going right with recruiting, what's going wrong with recruiting, what they can improve with recruiting, how they want it better, or whatever is on their mind. Now, these parents have an opportunity to share that information with you, the scout, because they have been shut out of this process. High school coach doesn't want to deal with them. High school coach only wants to win games, do his teaching job, and go home. They're not getting paid to do extra stuff like recruiting. And then every parent is going to have something good or great to say about their son or daughter to a college program. College coaches don't want to hear that. Your sales presentation to parents. You want to explain how Woods Recruiting works. Remember to keep it very short. B, you want to ask parents questions where you can gather lengthy information. C, you want to have a solution to any problems the parents may be having with recruiting. The only way you're going to know that is to ask questions. You want to ask questions to where you can uncover information. It's important. Many college scouts make the mistake of talking too much and dominating the conversation. When you dominate the conversations, the parents feel they are not included in the recruiting process. they will begin to tune you out and they want you out. So keep in mind, keep your presentation short, ask questions. You want feedback. So that's incredible. You want information. As a scout, you want to know everything. You want to know what's going right, what's going wrong, what's messed up, because it's your job to come in and fix it. Your job is to come in and provide solutions to their recruiting problems. It could be something as they're being recruited by Division III schools and they know they're better than that and they want more. Or maybe they're only being recruited by one or two college programs and they want a whole lot of options. They want choices. Or maybe they're just being recruited by nobody. But you need to find that out. And you cannot find that out by running your mouth and not asking questions. For example, we're going to talk about the 10-point sales presentation. It's very important to have your presentation where it's basically memorized. Mr. Smith, I can help Alex get a lot of exposure to college programs. Do you think Alex can play in college? So what I did there is I basically told them what I can do for them. What I told the father, what I could do for their son. And then I followed that up with a question. Generic question as it may seem. Do you think Alex can play in college? But the thing is, the probability the parents will probably say yes. And they probably will tell you more about Alex, on what Alex can do and the camps he played and whatever is going on with Alex. They'll probably tell you more. But it's short and it's to the point. The spotlight is on the scout for a brief time, but then the attention and the focus has shifted to the parents and the student athlete. Mr. Smith, I'm going to put together a list of college programs to target for Alex. What's his GPA? So again, I've explained what I'm going to do for them, because keep in mind, the parents of student athletes, they don't know how it's working, how it works, how Woods Recruiting works, and what we're going to do for them. So explain it to them, and then follow that up with a question. This is your presentation. It's specific on what you should say, how you should say it, and the questions you should ask. Mr. Smith, email is a big part of the recruiting process. With Alex's help, we can write a powerful email to college coaches. What level of college do you think Alex can play at? Once again, I'm explaining what we can do for them. And then I'm asking them, where do you think your son can play at? Can he play Division I ball, Division II, NAIA, Division III, junior college? What? Where? Tell me. I want to know. The parents will get to talking again and start sharing valuable information. And as a scout, you're sitting there absorbing all of this information, because the more they tell you, the easier it will be for you to close the sale. Mr. Smith, a huge part of my job is to walk you step by step through the recruiting process, answer any questions you may have. What kind of player is Alex? What can he do? So again, I am telling them how we're going to do what we're going to do for them at Woods Recruiting. As a scout, you need to be very clear on the steps you're going to take for them, because they don't know and they need to understand what it is. And then again, you're asking questions. Any question you ask a parent, no matter what it is, if you ask the parents 100 questions, they have to get them all right. They have to score 100% on that test. So you don't want to ask them, these parents, complicated questions. Do you know the difference between a red shirt and a green shirt, or the NCAA clearinghouse? You don't want to ask them questions like that, because they probably may not know the answer, and then all you're going to do is piss them off. You're asking them questions that they know the answer to and that you can gather valuable information. So it's critical for all Woods recruiting scouts to ask involvement questions directed towards the parents of high school student athletes. Now, why I say that? Everything you're doing is directed towards the parents. From questions to sales presentations, everything you say, everything you do is directed towards the parents point blank. The student athlete may be in the room, but it's not them that we need to convince or persuade. It's the parents. Why? Because the parents are going to pay for this. They have the credit card, debit card purchasing power. Student athletes have no money. If they want to contribute to this, fine. But it's the parents, in large part, who we have to persuade and convince. So everything you do as a scout is directed towards the parent. Your presentation, your questions, the information you're trying to get, it's the parents. In your initial face-to-face meeting, the parents in their home, there could be a lot of anxiety or tension. So you want to begin the questioning process with something easy and simple. A lot of times you have parents who they have no clue what the recruiting process is all about. They have no clue what recruiting services do. They have no clue, a lot of them, on any of this. Way back in the day, my parents didn't know anything about this either. They never went to college. And so you have to be smart in the kind of questions you ask them. Because what will happen, if you ask them a really great question, say that's your first question, like your best question you've been working on all day, you may get a nonverbal response where they shrug their shoulders or shake their head. Or you may get one of these kind of answers. And so now you've just destroyed your best question. So for me, I always like to try questions that can only be answered with the word yes. And then just try 2 or 3 soft, easy questions to kind of help with the tension. Ask questions where the only answer can be yes. Mr. Smith, do you think your son can play at the college level? Mr. Smith, does your daughter have the ability to play at the college level? Mr. Smith, is your son a good student? So chances are these questions are pretty simple. The answer will more than likely be yes or something very, very positive and favorable. So you want to start off with something smooth and easy, because then it gets the parents to relax and calm down. And you as a scout, you may be a little nervous yourself. So it gives you a chance to get yourself together. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're about to screw up or whatever, then just ask them a question. It's like in football, when the team's got the wrong play, they call a timeout to kind of get their act together. So to help you get yourself together, ask them a question to get the parents talking. Put the spotlight on the parents. Ask a lot of questions. Ask questions that could be answered with yes. That helps ease tension, anxiety with the parents, and you may, it just will help you. It will help you in gaining their trust. Once the parent begins to open up and feel comfortable, then you can ask more detailed questions. Got to break the ice. When asking questions of parents, your goal is to gather information and to make mental notes of what they say. Now, this is very important. I don't like for scouts to take notes of what parents are saying in a sales presentation. The reason is, if you're writing down everything the parent is saying, if you're writing it down, the parents may not be as forthcoming with information. They may clam up. They may not give you as much information on a particular question because they see that you're writing everything down. You can have your notebook and your pen and paper and all that out, but make mental notes. There could be key points in their answers to questions that you can remember to write down later. I mean, that's what I did with all of you when I interviewed you. I was taking notes the entire time, but writing down key points, things and information you were saying. So do that with the parents. Because the worst thing is for them to stop talking. Get them to talk. Ask parents questions about their student athlete can lead to uncover critical and valuable information to help you close the sale. Just ask questions. Try to uncover as much information as possible. Now, avoid questions about the high school coach. Avoid the coach. Because it could get twisted or misconstrued some kind of way that you're saying something bad or negative about the coach if you ask them a question about the high school coach. Believe me, if the parent has a problem with the high school coach, they're going to tell you anyway. So let the parent be the one to bring up anything about the coach, whether it's good, bad, negative, whatever the case may be. Let the parent open that door. But as a scout, leave that alone. We don't want to be misconstrued as talking negative. Mr. Jones, who's recruiting your son right now? B. Mr. Jones, how has the recruiting process gone so far? C. Mr. Jones, has your daughter received any letters from college coaches? You want to uncover information. You know, maybe they're getting some letters from college coaches, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe the recruiting process is going terrible. Maybe it's just going mediocre. Maybe it's not going well at all. You know, again, maybe they're only being recruited by Division III schools or the school that's down the street around the corner from their house, and they don't like that at all. Everybody wants to improve their recruiting situation. Remember, your goal in asking questions is to get information. So generally, in your first face-to-face meeting with parents and student athletes, they're going to be very honest and they're going to tell you the truth. Down the road, they're going to lie to you. But at least in the beginning, you've gotten the information you need. It's no big deal if they tell you a lie 2 weeks, 2 months down the road. So what? Your goal is to close the sale and to help them get into college. It's just the nature of the business. Don't think it's an integrity issue that, oh, they told me a lie. You know, they said their son has a 3.5 GPA. I found out that he has a 2.0. So what? No big deal. Close the sale and help them get into school. No big deal. It's just the nature of this business. Now, as a scout, you got to have integrity. You cannot tell any lies, but let them do what they need to do. It's just how it is. A lot of parents have a lot of nervousness and anxiety about the recruiting process anyway. Think about that. The easiest thing for the parent to do of a student athlete is to go to the game, sit in the stands, and cheer on their son or daughter. Now, here comes this recruiting component where they actually have to make a decision, and that's where it gets very hard and very confusing. The average parent of a student athlete, they can get in their car and drive straight to work, get in their car, and come straight home. If they have to stop at the store, they have a list of information of what they need to pick up. So, I got to pick up some bread, some milk, some toothpaste. You know, they have a list. So anything outside of the norm becomes too complicated. They get real frustrated, and it just causes a lot of problems. So as a scout, you need to understand that and ask questions to get information and come up with solutions where it's not too complicated for them to understand. Think of as many involvement questions as you can to ask parents, because they are the ones you must persuade and convince that you are the college scout and can guide them through the recruiting process from beginning to end. You have to convince them that you're the one. They're making an $800 investment in you. That's why you are in the community. That's why you were hired, because you're in the community, you are local, you have integrity, you're hardworking. They can see your face. They can text you, they can call you, they can email you, they can get in touch with you. You're there. So make it to where they feel comfortable talking to you and working with you. Homework assignment. Homework assignment. You're going to have 3 homework assignments, so pay attention. I want you to work on your 10-point sales presentation. You're going to number them from 1 through 10. You're going to put down what you're going to say to the parents, the benefits and values of Woods Recruiting, how it works. You're going to follow that up with a question. You're going to do that 10 times. How does it work? Because they don't know. Think about this. Let's say you were going out to buy a Cadillac Escalade. The car dealer guy is there on the lot with you, and he's explaining to you how this car works. The interior, the GPS, the windows, the tires, the gas mileage. He's getting you excited about this car because you don't know about how it all works. And so that's how you have to do it with parents. Explain to them how it works. Get them excited about this process. Get them excited about it. So 1 through 10, benefits and values of Woods Recruiting. Follow each one of them up with a question. So there's examples you've already seen, and then you'll get an ebook as well with this information. Homework assignment number 2 is to come up with 20 questions. So these will be separate from your presentation questions. Come up with 20 additional questions. Remember, the questions are directed towards the parents of high school student athletes, not the student athlete. The questions are directed to mom and dad. They're the ones who are paying for this. They're the ones you have to convince and persuade. Number those 1 through 20. What are the questions you're going to ask? Remember, you want to get information and you want them to talk. Homework assignment number 3, 100-day challenge. What are you going to do in your first 100 days as a Woods Recruiting Scout? This is your roadmap. This is your blueprint. These are your goals and strategies to get you off to a good start as a scout. If you get off to a good start, it could set the tone positively for the next 12 months to where you are closing a sale a week, maybe 2 a week, maybe 3 a week. And then you're in a very good situation at that point. But work on your 100-day challenge. So there, you've seen the examples. I've went through that. There's also, you'll get the ebook as well that will go over it, and you can read additional information. Well, what are you going to do as a scout? Don't just complete the training and don't do anything. Don't complete the training and don't do anything. You signed up to be a scout for a reason. Final instructions. As soon as you complete your homework assignment, email it to me. I will review it and grade it. The grading scale is A, B, F. You've got to score an A or a B on the homework assignment. When you do, you can move on to the next video, but you must complete all homework assignments. If you have any questions about the homework assignment, please do not hesitate to email me your questions. Good luck. Do your best. This is why you were hired, because you are the best. The creed of a champion. I am not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And the number of times I succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times I can fail and keep on trying. Good luck. Do your best in this first video. Again, any questions, reach out to me anytime. But I know you're going to do a great job.